a third-generation veteran of the U.S. Army having served in Germany. Mr. McKee was stationed at the European Command Headquarters in West Germany during the Persian Gulf War. His father served in the 3rd Armored Division under the pressure of the 1950s Cold War near the border of East Germany, and his grandfather served in World War II in the 29th Infantry Division entering Europe shortly after Normandy. Mr. McKee is a licensed professional clinical counselor in private practice in both Ashtabula and Lake counties. He and his wife, Robin, will celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary this summer, and they have 3 teenage children at home. He is a member of the Ashtabula First Church of the Nazarene, where he and his wife have served in both staff and volunteer capacities. Please welcome Mr. Matt McKee.
Thanks, David. Good morning. I'd like to thank David, your township fiscal officer, and the township trustees for inviting me today. It's an honor to be part of this ceremony this Memorial Day in Austinburg Township, to honor the sacrifices of those that have laid down their lives in service to this nation. As David read from my introduction, I'm a 3rd-generation U.S. Army veteran, having served in Germany. My grandfather, Ermi McKee, member of the 29th Infantry Division, he entered in France and then, of course, served in West Germany to help liberate Europe from the Nazis. My father, Charles Jim McKee, served in the 3rd Armored Division during the early years of the Cold War. They really stood face to face with the Soviet Union at that point. He served, he was a tank commander there. I served in the 52nd Signal Battalion in West Germany from 89 to 91. And during that time, I was able to witness the impact of the Berlin Wall coming down, as well as serving at the European Command Headquarters while U.S. troops went to the desert for Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. This period of time that I was in the Army was actually considered 3 different eras. It was the post-Vietnam era, the Cold War era, and then the Persian Gulf War era. With just my family history and the short time that I served in the Army, there's a reminder that this great United States of America sends its troops in harm's way to many locations around the globe. During the entire history of these United States, well over 1.1 million personnel have given their lives while in service to their country during combat. In the Bible, in John 15:13, Jesus reminds us that there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. Considering that love, I would like to take a moment to recognize a few groups here today. First, is there anyone here that has lost a loved one while in the line of duty to this country? If so, raise your hand. See those hands. Thank you very much. Second, are there any veterans of the armed forces here today? If so, raise your hand. See those hands out there. Thank you very much. And last but not least, are there first responders, present or past, here today from our police, fire, and EMS departments? If so, please raise your hand. Thank you very much for each one of you that raised your hand for the sacrifices, the service, and the love that each one represents. I grew up in Ashtabula, graduated Harbor High School in 1987, saw one of my classmates today, and decided to follow my family legacy of service in the U.S. Army. By signing up and swearing in, I was willing to lay down my life for my country. However, I am thankful that I did not have to stand in the line of fire for my country. As many of you know, each job in the military plays a strategic role in our combat troops' success. I worked as a satellite communications technician to provide communication support for the European commanders. While I was thankful for my time in the military, I had a plan to serve in the Army in Germany like my father and grandfather did, and then use my GI Bill to attend college afterwards. So after 4 years of active duty, I was discharged as a sergeant and then decided to attend Kent State University to obtain a computer information systems degree and work as a computer programmer. My wife, Robin, and I were married shortly after I graduated college, and we worked at Key Bank together in downtown Cleveland. Our plans seemed to be working out. We had our first child, Sarah Ann, a little after 1 year of marriage. A beautiful blue-eyed redhead, she was born with a birth injury with significant brain damage and medical needs. While I thought the military might be the most difficult thing I would ever go through, this became an extremely difficult, stressful, yet beautiful time in our lives. We had great amounts of support and care, but Sarah unfortunately died at 3.5 years old, and our lives and the lives of others were impacted forever by her life and death. We are thankful for having 3 other children along with Sarah, 2 boys and a girl, all gifted, healthy teenagers at home right now. After our daughter's death, I began a quest to determine what I wanted to do with my life going forward. After seeking help in my grief and helping others with their grief, I eventually decided to attend graduate school at Liberty University to become a professional counselor. I share some of this history with you today to remind us all that at times God will take our lives with our plans, our gains, and our losses, and He'll work things together for good. While I do my best as a professional clinical counselor to share compassionate care, I realize that I always need to strive to improve who I am and impact the community around me. I choose to do this through my work and through my church. I believe that this focus is something that was impressed upon me while in the service to my country, through my family, and because of the legacy that has been passed down to me. Each one of us, whether connected to the military or not, have an opportunity to honor the legacy of all of those that have gone before us to serve this great nation. So I'd like to ask each of you a few questions. How do each one of you choose to honor that legacy? What can each one of us do to improve the lives of those around us? Are we available to allow God's work in our lives to work things together for good? And do you know someone that has lost a loved one in combat? I saw a couple of hands here today, so I'm sure some of you do. I do ask the last question, though, because I counseled someone recently that told me that no one reached out to them on the anniversary or the birthday of their son's death. A son who died in combat recently in Afghanistan. While we sometimes don't know what to say to someone, we can always honor the memory of their loved one. A simple "I'm thinking of you" or "praying for you today," or "I'm remembering him or her today," can make all the difference. We each make daily sacrifices for those that we love. And when someone makes the ultimate sacrifice and lays down their life, we should take time to remember, thank, and honor that life. Memorial Day is a time for Americans to reconnect with their history and core values by honoring those who gave their lives for the ideals and freedoms we cherish. We can all make a difference with our individual acts, and it is important that we do act. It is important that those of us who understand the importance of our history, which most of you do because you're here today, the importance of our military, and who also understand the importance of values of the military, that we act to help reconnect the American people with the American soldier. You can spread the word one-on-one with your fellow citizens. If you are a veteran, share your own stories. Or become an oral historian yourself and collect other soldier stories. Write them down, spread the word. Share soldier stories with family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors. Tell the soldier stories to other Americans anytime you have the chance. Encourage veterans you know to share their stories. Emphasize the relationship between the nation's values and the core values of our military. What is it that inspires and enables ordinary citizens to rise to the challenge of battle, to be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice of their lives in service to their country? What is it that motivates them to respond and contribute wherever and whenever called upon to do so? The answer is values. The proud legacy of our military and our country is grounded in these core values. I borrowed this from the U.S. Army values around the time of my service. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Loyalty means to bear true faith and allegiance to the U.S. Constitution, the military, your unit, and other soldiers. I would add to our communities and neighbors as well. Duty means to fulfill your obligations. Respect means to treat people as they should be treated. Selfless service means to put the welfare of the nation, the military, and subordinates before your own. Again, I would add the welfare of our communities and neighbors. Honor means to live up to all of these values. Integrity means to do what's right, legally and morally. Personal courage means to face fear, danger, adversity, whether physical or moral. We in this country owe a great debt of gratitude to those who sacrificed their lives so that we could live free. We can start to pay that debt by not forgetting, by remembering what they did and what they stood for. Listen to these words by Charles Province. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. And it is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag. Now, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember all of those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. And I'd also like to include remembering Dave Lempinen as well, a recently fallen firefighter in your township, as I learned today, as well as all the flag-marked veterans' graves in your local cemeteries. So let's please take a moment of silence as we remember those. Thank you. As I close, I would ask that you please continue to make a difference with your words and your actions, that you work to improve the lives of those around you, that you honor the legacy of the fallen by putting the greater good above yourselves, and that you remember and thank veterans, families of fallen veterans, and first responders, including telling their stories. Thanks again for allowing me to be part of this today. May God bless each one of you. God bless America, and God bless our fallen heroes and their families. Thank you.